Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session, Creating a Cost-Effective EdTech Strategy with EesySoft inside of Blackboard Learn. My name is Sarah Leonard, and I'm the Senior Partner Manager at Blackboard and will be your moderator for today. Just a couple of housekeeping items before we dig into the content today. Please note that this event is being recorded, and we will send a link to the recording to all registrants after the webinar, about 24 hours after. The audio is streamed through your computers, so be sure your speakers are on and volume is turned up. There is an optional dial-in, which is located under the menu bar to your upper left corner of the screen, if you choose that option. And we also have some live captioning available so that you can use that service if you'd like, and you should be prompted by the Collaborate platform if you'd like to use those. And lastly, please go ahead and feel free to type in any questions into the chat throughout the presentation. We have folks helping to answer those directly in chat, and then also we'll save some time at the end for Q&A. And I'd love to introduce our presenter for today, Cole Groom. He is the Channel Sales Executive for EesySoft. My apologies for the logo overlapping over that title there, but we're really excited to have Cole walk you through some great tips and strategies for pulling together a cost-effective strategy for using EesySoft inside of Learn. So with that, I think we have just one poll question that we'd like to start with before we hand things over to Cole. And we just want to get a sense of how familiar everyone is with EesySoft. We have, I think, a slew of different current clients and ones that might be interested. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and start the poll. And the question is, how familiar are you with EesySoft? Very familiar. We use it at our institution. Somewhat familiar, heard a few great things about it. 3, not familiar. What is EesySoft? That's why you're here today. So we'll give folks just a couple more seconds to answer there. Just got a few more folks that would like to participate. And it's looking like it's almost a tie between very familiar and somewhat familiar. So it's good to know we have a little bit of common understanding there. But if you're not familiar, no problem. We are going to make sure we share all of the great benefits of this awesome EdTech adoption platform. So you can see the responses there, and I'll go ahead and end the poll. Oh, here, I'll show the responses there so everyone can kind of get a sense. All right. So thank you so much for participating in that. And I am going to turn it over to Cole now to kick us off.
Awesome. Thanks, Sarah. And thanks, everybody, for taking the time to join us today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly run through some slides, give you an overview of what is EesySoft. And maybe I'll start just by sharing my screen because I've got an overview of the agenda in the presentation. And so while I'm going through and presenting, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to just raise your hand. And I'm happy to stop partway and any of the questions. We got a little bit of a smaller group today, so I also like to have an open discussion, and especially from the poll, we saw quite a few institutions that are already using EesySoft. So it would be great to also potentially hear from some of you all who are using EesySoft and talk a little bit about some of the different ways that you've already been using it, or if some of the things we covered today are something that would be interesting for you. And so here, what we're looking at today is how EesySoft can help you to develop a cost-effective EdTech strategy and save on EdTech costs. And so first we're going to look at what is EesySoft, but then we're going to take a look at how EesySoft help you save costs in the support area, so reducing online support costs, but also how we can support your users to get a better utilization out of Blackboard, any of the third-party tools that you might be using. It's going to take a look at how EesySoft's proactive messaging can reduce the number of support requests that you receive. Through our reporting, we're going to take a look at how you can assess EdTech value, conduct ROI evaluations, and also identify areas of low adoption. And then Lastly, in the slides, we're going to take a look at how EesySoft can help you with faculty training, specifically asynchronously, or to increase the effectiveness of your faculty training and development workshops. And then what I want to really do is spend most of our time today inside of the live environment, looking at real examples from our customers of the different ways that they're able to use EesySoft. And so there's just a quick look at some of the institutions that we work with. They're from all around the world, and I'm sure if any of you would be interested into speaking to any of our EesySoft customers in your area, we'd be happy to connect you with. And what I want to start with is kind of talking about COVID's impact on education and how this continues to evolve. So this is an image that I took from a post from Phil Hill at the very beginning of the COVID pandemic last year. And it takes a look at the potential impact of COVID on online education. So here, this is and not an updated graphic. By now, we were thinking that we were going to be into phase 4, emerging into this new normal. But what I think and what I've heard from a lot of institutions is that things are still a bit up in the air. It still seems that we're in this phase 3. It's been extended a little bit. Some schools choosing to reopen and get students back on campus, others choosing to stay fully remote and really focusing on online education. So it's a time where everything is in flux, and institutions need to be ready for potential changes, any potential closing again, such as in Canada. Recently, all of the institutions in Canada have had to close again and go back to fully online. And we're really going to hope that something similar doesn't happen in the United States, but it always helps to be prepared. And so with this unprecedented impact, it's exposed the requirement for more live data and communication tools to give you really the insights that you need as administrators to understand those areas of improvement and give you the tools that you need to improve online education. So that's why over the summer, we're going to be working with a lot of our customers to identify some of those specific areas for improvement for the fall semester, really being able to tailor messaging for your selected course delivery format, making sure that that is going to be as successful as possible, and also trying to avoid the snapback effect. I was reading an article about this on Inside Higher Ed a couple weeks ago about how at some of these schools where they're moving courses back in person, that they have the potential of losing a lot of that progress that they made originally during that initial shift to online learning, which did provide, a lot more equity of education and a lot higher usage of these different collaborative tools that are available through the LMS and other third-party tools, which are beneficial to the student's experience. So really interesting to look at that and having those types of tools and resources available going into the fall term. And also, we're a signature partner with Blackboard. We've been working with them for a very long time now. I'd say close to maybe 5 years been partnered with Blackboard. And you also have the possibility of adding EesySoft to any Blackboard tool or purchasing EesySoft through Blackboard. And so to kick things off, what is EesySoft? I know a lot of you are already familiar, but for those who are not, EesySoft is an EdTech adoption platform. Our main goal is to help you maximize your investment into educational technology. And how we're able to do this? Well, the first step is being able to understand how is Blackboard actually being used. We track all of the usage data from inside of your Blackboard environment, and as well as any of the third-party tools or LTIs that you are using inside of Blackboard to give you insights into the usage patterns of your users, being able to identify areas of low adoption, and also being able to take action on this data through our in-application messaging. So for example, if you saw a low instructor usage of rubrics, you could create what we call a campaign, segmenting all of those instructors who have not used rubrics in placing messages to them directly inside of Blackboard, letting them know why it's important to use rubrics, but also showing them how. So these messages can be placed anywhere inside of Blackboard and are a great way to communicate more effectively at the time of need with your users directly inside of Blackboard when the information is the most relevant for them and they're actually just 1 or 2 clicks away from taking action on this information. Now, as we're going to see here shortly, there's a really wide variety, almost an endless possibility of what these messages can be used for. They can be targeted at specific user groups. So all instructors, all of your students can also leverage your institutional hierarchy and roles inside of Blackboard to do departmental specific messaging, or you can upload a custom list of users. So it's really flexible. You're going to be able to target anyone inside of the environment. We also have a lot of pre-made messaging campaigns, so really helping you to hit the thing and leverage what a lot of the work other institutions have done. And last but not least, when we're asking users to try out new functionalities, well, they're not going to know how to use them. So that's why we also want to provide 24/7 contextual and role-sensitive support to our users everywhere inside of Blackboard. This helps to create a culture of self-help, really facilitate the adoption of new tools, and helps to deflect many support requests that you might receive to your help desk that can be easily solved with a quick knowledge-based article. And then at the bottom, you'll notice that we can also route and escalate the user's support requests. So we'll integrate with your current support workflows, integrate with your current ticketing system. If you're using Blackboard Student Services, if you have an in-house help desk, if you send faculty and students to different help desks, EesySoft is going to be able to support all of those different workflows. And so the first item that I want to discuss about today, and one of the areas where EesySoft has a really large impact into saving on support costs, is through this Tier 0 user support with the EesySoft support tab. So giving users access to the information that they need without having to leave Blackboard and without having to search for anything. And one of the really key aspects of this is that when a user does escalate their support request from inside of the support tab, we send through what we call a smart escalation email with all of this user's information, such as what operating system they're on, what browser they're using, and even a link to exactly where they triggered this support request from. Because a lot of times you might get a question from a student like, I can't take my test. But they don't tell you what test that they're trying to take. They don't tell you what course that they're in. It makes it very difficult to solve that issue for them. So by being able to see the screen that the user was looking at when they had that problem, we've been able to help our customers reduce their time to resolution on support requests by 75% on average. So really valuable information to have coming to your support desk, while at the same time also improving that student or faculty experience that they have when they need additional support, because they're going to get those answers that they need a lot quicker and a lot easier. And then also inside of the EesySoft support tab, you're going to be able to customize your knowledge base. So out of the box, it's fully populated with all of the help guides from Blackboard. So it's really a plug and play solution. But a lot of times we know that you have institution-specific support articles, or you want to add some additional support articles for the third parties or LTI tools that you have plugged into Blackboard. So here's an example from Fairfield University where they've added a lot of their own custom resources inside of the support tab. And one of the things that and many of our other customers have noticed is by adding these institution-specific resources to the support tab, they have gotten higher levels of utilization than they previously did on other, if it was posted on a secondary knowledge base. So by placing those articles directly inside of Blackboard in the EesySoft support tab, they saw a significant increase in the utilization of those resources. They're able to notice that through, as I'm showing here, the support insights. So we're able to track how many people are clicking on the support tab, where they're clicking on it most, where users are running into issues, and so which of those articles are being used the most. So really allowing you to understand the impact that some of these different support functionalities have on your faculty and students. But when it comes to support, and specifically reducing requests, having that tier 0 self-support available is just the first step of the process. Our customers that are the most successful with reducing their inbound support requests use the EesySoft messaging proactively to combat some of the most common issues that they have coming into their help desk. And now I'm just going to show a couple of examples from these customers. And so probably one of the most common and also the most impactful proactive messaging that we see being used is for supporting different proctoring solutions. So this is specifically an example for Respondus Lockdown Browser, and it is generally a tool that results in a lot of issues for students and for faculty members. A lot of times just because they've never used it before, and they go into Blackboard and they begin trying to use it, and well, they feel lost. So with these proactive messages directly on the test page where the user is going to launch a test and need to use Respondus Lockdown Browser, you can place a message such as this one, giving them a couple of quick links to a quick start guide, an introduction to Lockdown Browser for Learn, and we also see a lot of institutions will place the download link and the institution key directly inside of this message so that these users have really easy access to this information. And by placing messages like this, they've been able to reduce the number of inbound support requests for these targeted issues by up to 80%. So a really good example of how communication at the right time and at the right place can go a long way to changing that behavior of your users and proactively supporting them. Another example around Respondus Lockdown Browser at Duquesne University. Here they place the link directly on every test that requires Respondus Lockdown Browser. So we're able to highlight which test has Respondus and which one does not based on a naming convention that they use for those tests. And here, giving them all the information that they need to get started, and again, having a really large impact on the number and reducing the number of support requests coming into the help desk. But this can be applied to any of the different tools inside of your Blackboard environment. This is to native Blackboard functionalities or any of your third parties. Kaltura is a really popular example. A lot of institutions reaching out to support Kaltura usage, whether if it's an example such as this one, where it's promoting the introduction of Kaltura to Blackboard, so making sure that people know that this is available and providing them that additional support to get them through their first time usage and maximize that first time adoption, or once you've been using it for a while, some of those most common issues that you have coming in, you can identify and then proactively communicate about using EesySoft. And again, another great example with Blackboard Ally. Some more specific examples once we jump into the live environment here, but really nice just to show how you can create that awareness around Ally, let people know why it's important, and then also show them how to use it all at the same time inside of Blackboard. But what I want to focus on now is the reporting side of things, and the value that having this type of data can add to your processes at your institution, and assessing the value that some of these tools are providing at your institution. And so with EesySoft, you're not only able to track native functionalities, but you're also able to track LTI and third-party tools that you're using inside of Blackboard. So here, this is a screenshot of a LTI dashboard set up by one of our customers. You can see it's a really wide range of the different tools you're using, and giving a full overview of those tools all in one dashboard. This is all tracking automatically. You don't have to run any queries. You don't have to search for anything. It's all very user-friendly. You go into the dashboard, you're going to understand how to read these reports. And what they are really valuable for is calculating a real cost per user for each of these third-party tools based on the number of people who are actually leveraging these tools. So here you can see tools like Kaltura, Quickly, Wiley, Zoom. You see Wiley not being used, but things like Pearson and McGraw-Hill having much higher levels of utilization. Through this report, it can also help you to identify potential redundancies in your EdTech ecosystem, and also potentially areas where you can trim the fat. We're working with a couple of customers right now who are using Respondus Lockdown Browser and Proctorio at the same time and licensing both of those products for their full institution, which expensive. So what we've been testing over the last semester is which of these tools is being utilized the most, and also collecting some feedback from students and faculty, and then moving into the following fall term, they're going to look at canceling one of those contracts, consolidating towards one of those tools. So that these are the types of data-driven decisions that you're going to be able to realize having this data available very easily at your fingertips, and also streaming through in real time. As your users are clicking through Blackboard using these different tools, you're going to see that usage data reflected in the EesySoft reports. So really valuable insights to have for that data-driven decision making. But the same goes for your native Blackboard functionalities as well. Through these reports, you're going to be able to identify these trends of low adoption. And I will say the same thing about these third-party tools. If you see a tool that is very important to your ecosystem, such as Kaltura or Quick, you can run campaigns to try and increase the usage of these specific tools. Same thing goes here with these native Blackboard functionalities. Tools such as peer assessment and tests. We generally see very low levels of adoption among many of our institutions. And these are really valuable tools inside of Blackboard, especially for hybrid delivery, high flex, and fully online courses. So what we want to do is try to influence and change those behavior patterns to increase the utilization of some of these really key tools that are available to your faculty and students inside of Blackboard. And that's what you'll be able to find out through the reports. But also, if you have the institutional hierarchy, the nodes set up inside of Blackboard, you're going to be able to compare the usage of these tools across the different departments of your institution. This is an example from Curtin University in Singapore, where they really in-depth analysis of the usage of quizzes and tests across different faculties in their institution. So here you can see up top the different faculties: Faculty of Health Science, Science and Engineering, Aboriginal Studies, Humanities, Business and Law, and being able to see which of these departments are working more heavily with these quiz and test functionalities, specifically health sciences being the leaders in this respect, whereas Faculty of Humanities and Science and Engineering being further behind. So this can also help them to understand which area to focus their faculty development and training on, and also potentially working with them from a pedagogical perspective of how those specific departments can work on incorporating those online tools into their curriculums. Because sometimes for faculty such as Science and Engineering, they find it a little bit more difficult to understand where these different tools fit in to their course. But that's what I know many of the people here on this webinar are really specialized and have a lot of knowledge about. And so through EesySoft, you're going to have those insights to be able to point your resources and your knowledge in the right direction to help in those areas that might be falling behind. And the same at Blackboard Collaborate. It's a very similar report. I'm just in a different view or style, and looking at the usage of Blackboard Collaborate, looking at the usage of Collaborate in each of these different departments across time in each individual week. So also being able to track the hotspots during the semester, when people are teaching online, when people are leveraging Collaborate, but allowing to make some comparative analysis there as well. And so kind of moving into the last major topic I want to talk about of how EesySoft can really help you to create these cost-effective strategies is towards live faculty training, asynchronous faculty training is what I meant to say. And so here we're going to look at a couple of different examples. I want to stop and ask a quick question. How many institutions here are already using Ultra courses or looking at turning on Ultra courses for the fall semester? And please feel free to speak up, or also just write your answer in the chat. Yeah, and so when you're looking at moving to Ultra courses, well, a lot of changes from the original course fee, and some training required to get instructors ready to teach in Ultra courses. But what we've worked with a lot of our customers on is helping provide this asynchronous faculty training, helping to manage that change process over to Ultra courses. And what we see a lot of questions coming in about for Ultra is the new gradebook. So there's quite some intricacies involved in setting this up, and especially depending on the grading scale that you use at your institutions might need a little bit of customization. And here, this is just an example of how you can provide some short gradebook training. Here, this is a screenshot of a kind of generic Blackboard instructional video, but we also see a lot of our customers using or creating their own institution-specific training videos and delivering those asynchronously to their faculty members directly inside of the Blackboard environment. So a really great way to reach a larger audience and provide them with that information when it's the most relevant for them. When they're inside of the gradebook, they're trying to do something with the gradebook, and they're going to have access to that short video, which is going to help them to set it up for the first time. But also, we want to help with all of the many changes that are happening inside of the platform. So if you're already on SaaS, you know you're on this continuous delivery model. Things are changing inside of Blackboard. Also, any updates to tools like Collaborate. A recent one that just came out was Gallery View for Collaborate, which is a really great and valuable addition to the product. But if faculty members aren't aware of these changes, well, they're not going to be able to take advantage of them. So EesySoft actually creates these pre-made campaigns for each of the continuous delivery updates from Blackboard, and also for these other more substantial changes like the addition of Gallery View to Collab. So here, this is an example of the pre-made message that you're able to just in one click import into your instance, and then be able to select the user group who will see this message and decide when you want to make it live. So really ensuring the optimal uptake of these new functionalities and getting the most value out of being on that SaaS continuous delivery model. And then as well as supporting them through any of these new changes as well. So here, this is a screenshot of a support article inside the EesySoft support tab, which can be linked from that message. So giving them that additional information when they want to learn more, making sure that they always have it at their fingertips inside of Blackboard. And then, of course, when it comes to the start of a new semester, we want to get as many people leveraging those course templates that you've put together as possible. So with this messaging directly inside of Blackboard, we can highlight some of the aspects of this new course template. We've seen a lot of institutions provide videos of how to set up the course template that they've provided, or some of those key areas that they need to go in and change. But you can really use this messaging to walk the user through that whole process of setting up a course template at the start of the new semester. Or also for copying their courses. I know this is an issue that can sometimes lead to a lot of support requests at the start of a new term. So a great way to give them those instructions directly in the platform and not have as many of those questions streaming through and helping them get ready for the start of term. Or you can target this towards specific tools that you want to influence or change those behavior patterns. Here's an example from George Brown College of a checklist that they use targeted towards instructors about how to use Blackboard Collaborate, and also providing some additional resources about some of the best practices for teaching online through video conferencing. So that's everything I wanted to run through in the presentation. But what we're going to do now is go into the live environment and look at some real examples. But before I go ahead and jump in, does anyone have any questions, any comments they want to add, or anything that they found very interesting? So maybe now is a nice time to also try and run another poll, and we can maybe get a group consensus around which of those areas might have been the most interesting or the most relevant for their institutions.
Yes, let's go ahead and do that. I have it teed up here, so I'm going to go ahead and launch it. And basically, we want to know which area of cost savings are you focused on currently? Reducing demand on support resources, tracking and analyzing third-party tool usage, training users for effective EdTech adoption, maybe all of the above. So we'll give folks a couple more seconds to answer the poll here. And thank you, Cole, for walking us through that. I think it's really great to see that there's so many different elements that EesySoft can play into and support along the way. It'll be great to see the live environment as well. All right. Let's go ahead and close that out. It looks like, for the most part, training users for effective EdTech adoption or all of the above are most important to you. So that's great to hear. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to close that. But yeah, the last two, either all of the above or training users is really important for folks.
Perfect. Well, appreciate the feedback, everyone. And since everyone, the majority was focused on all of the above, let's go focus on a broad breadth of different examples here that I've got queued up in our demo environment. So we're going to go ahead and log into Blackboard here. And the first thing that we're going to see is an example of a pop-up message. And this is a pop-up message used by one of our customers during the beginning of the spring term at Texas A&M International University. So this was a message that they used to provide COVID-19 training to all of their students. And this was a requirement from the Texas A&M system that all students had to watch this video. And so what we were able to do for Texas A&M was we were actually able to remove this close button. So the user was forced to watch this video to its entirety before they were able to enter Blackboard at the start of the new semester. So this was really important for them to also be able to report back to the system of who had acknowledged and completed watching this video. So through EesySoft, we were able to track all of those interactions with the messages and give them a comprehensive report of who watched this video, who acknowledged that they watched it, and then only afterwards letting them enter into Blackboard. So this was part of the requirements to have students returning back to campus. And this was the most effective delivery method that they could find, and one of the only ways that they could find to really mandate and report back on the number of students who went ahead and actually watched and completed this video. We also see a lot of institutions using this pop-up messaging to run new student orientations. So you can target these messages only towards freshman students and giving them a student orientation. We've also seen this done for first-time faculty members, which is also a great way to get them familiarized with the online platform and how they should be teaching through Blackboard. But really a wide variety of different uses for these pop-up messages. We've also seen tuition go out to students, so really customizable in the way that you're going to be able to target these messages and giving that new communication method at the time of need when the information is most relevant to your faculty and students. Now, like I mentioned, you're going to be able to place these messages anywhere inside of the Blackboard environment. So here, directly pointing to the tools area, a great way to promote any of the third-party tools or other integrations that you have into Blackboard and taking them to this area where they can begin leveraging these types of resources. And here also an example targeted towards Quickly, taking attendance, using Quickly through any of the online video conferencing tools that you may be using. So just providing a short video, helping that user work with these new tools for the first time, but also helping them to understand the benefit and why they should spend the time to potentially use these different tools in their courses that they have online. And so for anyone who is looking at moving to ultra-based navigation over the summer, EesySoft, we have a full campaign of pre-made messages that are focused on helping you during that transition period and that change management process over to ultra-based navigation, and also making sure that you get that maximum adoption of these new features from the get-go. So this is an example of one of those messages. They would be available on all of the different pages inside the base navigation, so you can choose which ones you want to highlight and provide some additional information about, placing those hint messages in those key areas that you really want to push users to, maybe something like the activity stream, which is very valuable. And then here you'll notice all of these links inside of the message. When we click on that, it actually opens up directly into the EesySoft support tab. So again, the user doesn't have to leave the Blackboard environment. They don't have to search for anything. With just one click, they have access to the information that they need to begin working with some of these new functionalities added in. Ultra-based navigation. But with the EesySoft support tab, it's available at all times for the user, and we know who you are and where you are in Blackboard. So right now I'm logged in as an instructor on the calendar page, and here we see that it automatically takes me to all of the help items about using a calendar as an instructor. So really easy access to all of that information, and really creating this culture of self-help, and then down here being able to easily escalate that support request, and then giving the reference number to that smart escalation email that we looked at the screenshot of in the earlier presentation. So we talked a lot about different messaging examples that would be considered proactive messaging to reduce some of those most common support requests. Here on the courses page, this is probably one of the most used messages at the start of the new semester by our customers, letting us know what to do when they don't see their courses here on the courses page. So this can be a really great way to direct those unnecessary support requests, letting them know to reach out to their instructor rather than to that desk, because most of the time it's probably just the instructor who hasn't published their course yet. So redirecting those users in the correct area and also giving them that information before they even know that they need it. And here I'll go ahead and jump into an original course and also talk about one other potential area where EesySoft can help you to reduce some potential costs in the future. So I know storage usage in Blackboard has been a very hot topic recently, and at EesySoft we've tried to help our customers to avoid any of these over usages of storage in their Blackboard environment. So we have an entire campaign which is dedicated towards letting instructors know different ways how they can reduce the sizes of their course inside of Blackboard. So this is just one example of these messages, letting the instructor know how they can go about reducing these the size of their course, and here linking them to some additional content in the support tab about the proactive strategies of how they can reduce this usage. So just giving them those tips and tricks, giving them those resources that can be the most relevant, and also you could send out an email with this type of information, but you're only going to get so many people who will open and read that email. And for those who do open and read it, they need to remember that information the next time that they log back into Blackboard to take action on it. Whereas here, I'm just a couple clicks away from actually going in and potentially changing some of those different things in my Blackboard course. And last two examples I'm going to show before we jump into the data side of things.
Hey, Cole, it might be on my end, but I lost your screen share.
Oh.
Can you maybe try resharing?
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. I'll try to share again.
There we go. It's back up. Thank you.
Better. Perfect. Great. So we'll jump back into Blackboard. And here, what we're looking at now, these are some messages targeted towards students on increasing the usage of alternative formats. So a lot of times, Ally, it's a really valuable tool for students to have access to, but it might be easily overlooked. A student might not actually go and click on this button, understand what it does, but with these messages, we can tie them directly to these Ally alternative formats button and promote specific types, or we can formats in general. This example here, we're specifically promoting downloading content as an MP3, letting students know that they can actually listen to the lecture notes during their daily commute to campus or while they're on their morning walk. Something along these lines. What we've also seen is institutions specifically targeting groups of users who have dyslexia and promoting Beeline Reader, which is offered by Ally and has been shown to help students who need to read documentation with dyslexia. It provides different colors. It could be very beneficial for them. So just being able to target those messages specifically towards those users who are going to get the most value out of these different resources offered by Ally. And then as well as we can target these messages towards instructors. And so here, right on the red Ally gauge, this will only trigger on the red Ally gauges. If it's green, the instructor wouldn't see this message, but letting them know this this item has low accessibility and letting them know why accessibility is important, linking them to some additional resources about how to work with Ally, and then as well as giving them a link directly to the course accessibility report. So this is really nice because that's probably one of the easiest areas for the instructor to go through and improve multiple items accessibility in their course at once. So really pointing them in the right direction to where they're going to be able to have the greatest impact with their time spent on improving accessibility. So with that, I want to jump into the EesySoft dashboard and take a look at some of the different data points that we're able to pull from the Blackboard environment. And so I'll just have to re-log in here, and we'll go to this tab. So where it was. And we're going to look at the tool adoption report. And this tool adoption report really gives you an overview. How is Blackboard actually being used? Right now, we're looking at instructor usage. We could also take a look at student usage, and you can segment this data by any of the roles, nodes, or institutional hierarchy that you have set up in your Blackboard environment. I'm just going to jump backwards a bit, so we're looking at a bit, let's say, more representative data. And so here, what we're going to be able to do is drill down into these major tool categories. We're going to see what tools are being used, but then we can drill down into each individual tool and see exactly how that tool is being used. So giving you some really valuable insights into the usage patterns of your users, and then again, allowing you to identify these different areas of low adoption side of your Blackboard environment. So here we can go take a look at assessments, and then so drill down directly into rubrics. See how many of your instructors are adding rubrics to their assignment. We can see how they're creating rubrics, if they're importing from other sources or if they're creating them themselves. We can see if they're going in and editing those rubrics after the fact. So really allowing you some granular insights into this tool usage and being able to understand those key drop-off points in some of those workflows and where they might not be completing that process, or maybe they're just viewing the rubric but not actually creating them or using them to grade, so allowing you to better understand what's going on inside of Blackboard. But while I'm here inside of these reports, I'm happy to take any requests. Is there somewhere you'd like me to click around and show you a little bit more of the data that we're collecting out of the box? We're collecting all of the data for Blackboard Collaborate here, discussion boards, usage in the ultra-base navigation area. Anything you'd be interested in seeing? Great. Well, and so from these reports, what we're looking at now, this is really from the institutional level. We'll be able to break this down to the different departments or campuses at your institution using the hierarchy. But we can also break this data down to the individual course level. So I've just switched tabs over here, and now we're in this course activity report. I've already gone ahead and searched for course IDs containing 2020. You could also search by course name or instructor. And then here I've selected a couple of tools so we can view their usage from a high level across each of these individual courses. So I've selected adding an assignment to the course and adding a rubric to an assignment within the course. And so here from the high level, we're going to be able to see inside of these courses which instructors have added the assignment and which have added the rubrics to those assignments. So really helping you to understand and visualize which of your courses are with these key tools in mind and which ones might have some areas for improvement. But if I actually go and click into this course, we're going to be able to view all of the usage inside of this course with the same exact tool adoption report we were just looking at, however, only for the usage in this course. And then down here, we'll also see each of the individual students in this course. And as I go and drill down into these different areas inside the adoption report, we'll see this individual user data down here changing. So for example, we could take a look at how many students have submitted an assignment. We'll see how many assignments they submitted, but also we'll be able to view the feedback or how many of the students went and viewed the feedback or the grade that they got on this assignment. And now what makes this data really valuable as well is that these instructors will have access to this data from a link inside of Blackboard. So they're going to be able to see the usage inside of the courses of which they are an instructor. So giving them some better insights into what types of content are my students engaging with? Are they viewing the feedback that I'm giving them on their assignments? And putting some data in instructors' hand so they can also make some of these data-driven decisions, understands which types of areas might be best for them to focus on going into those further semesters. And so, like we were talking about before, it really sets EesySoft data apart from any other data sets that you might have, is that all data is fully actionable. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with the example of rubrics, and directly from this report, let's say I want to increase the instructor adoption of rubrics. I'm going to be able to click on these two arrows here and go ahead and create a campaign. And in this case, we probably want to target it at the non-active users, so the instructors that have not been using rubrics. And then we're going to be able to specifically target them inside of Blackboard with messages. And so an example of some message which might be a part of this campaign for instructors to use more rubrics is here. I'm an instructor. I'm going through the workflow of creating an assignment. And then once I get down here to the area where we add a rubric, we see proactively popped up with this EesySoft message asking the instructor, hey, do you want to save time grading? Letting them know that they can add a rubric to their assignment to save time grading, grade them on their phone, use the Blackboard app. And one thing that's very specific about all of these messages, we don't want to use the messaging just to say, hey, we want you to use this specific tool. We want to persuade them and show them how it's going to add some value to what they're currently doing. Yeah, I see
Cole,
somebody raise their hand. You want to go?
Yeah, that was me.
Cole, we've lost your screen again.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, guys. I think I'm in a bit of a spotty patch today. Go ahead and reshare. Great, thanks for your patience on this one, guys. It should just be pulling up again right now. How long ago did you lose us, Ari?
Just a few seconds ago.
Oh, okay, perfect. So I'll jump back in, and then now you're seeing my Blackboard environment again, yes?
Yes, all good.
Perfect. Thanks for the heads up. And so here you see this message is triggered directly from the add rubric button. And like I was saying, we don't want to just place these messages saying, hey, instructors, use rubrics. We want to show them how it's going to add value, in this case, helping them to save time, but also showing them how it's going to add some value for their students as well. So giving them a detailed evaluation with informative feedback, allowing you to evaluate more consistently and letting students know what to expect. But we've also targeted the instructors that have never used rubrics before. So we want to provide some additional information about how to create a rubric for the first time. So here, linking them directly to this video. And as you notice, this time you can link a message to another message rather than also linking them to the support tab. So you're going to be able to create some of those customer or customized workflows, however you would like to see that done, but really creating that awareness, pointing the instructor in the right direction, and giving them the resources they need to try a new tool for the first time inside of Blackboard. Now we'll notice that we've also got some orange lines indicating an EesySoft message here on the attach file area. So this is another example from our storage reduction campaign. So on every area where the instructor has the ability to upload a new file, we can prompt them with this message about reducing the size of their files and also giving them some links to how they can specifically reduce the size of those files that that they might be adding into Blackboard. So just making it as simple as possible to help them use the storage inside of Blackboard. And so I could keep going and I could show examples all day, but I know we've got a couple of EesySoft customers in the crowd. If anyone is willing to speak up and maybe say a little bit about how they've been using EesySoft, or if any of your examples are similar to the ones that we've talked about today, maybe there's something completely different that you've had results with. Does anyone want to speak up and maybe share a little bit about their experience with the rest of the audience? Oh, don't be shy, guys. I know one of you has something small to say. Yes, please go ahead, Steve.
I used it at a previous institution, probably a few incarnations before your current version. And so what led me to adopt EesySoft at my other institution was the examples that you gave for Respondus Lockdown Browser. And it did considerably cut down our support calls through our internal help desk just by having that campaign alone for students. And so I did have a question. I'm curious, and I may have missed it earlier. These campaigns that you showed, are all those out of the box now? Because I'm used to having to create those by scratch.
Yes, so we have a ever-growing library of pre-made campaign templates. I'd say
Nice.
probably about 3/4 of the examples that I showed just now in the live environment are now on our pre-made campaign templates, and Sarah just sent the link in the chat. So highly recommend taking a look at that. However, not all of the pre-made templates are there just yet. It's a brand new web page that we put together, so we're still working on adding all of them. But anybody who is an EesySoft customer here, if you go to the campaigns page and you click on templates, you'll be able to see all of them that are available.
Thank you. We've adopted it through our new contract, and looking forward to rolling it out later this year. These will be a tremendous help. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks a lot for sharing your experience, Steve. I also see Jeff Welsh. You have your hand raised.
Yeah, my name's Seth Welsh. I'm from Hood College in Frederick, Maryland, and I just want to say that we've been very successful with using the EesySoft inline messaging tool, and it's really been a fundamental game changer for us as far as getting direct information to people quickly during the pandemic, especially as it relates to our Blackboard system and some of the other third-party tools like Respondus and Panopto and Zoom that we've integrated with Blackboard. So if we've had any outages or processing delays or browser issues that we needed to address, we've done that all extremely successfully through the inline messaging tool. I'd like more of an opportunity in the future to do more with campaigns. I don't know that we're licensed for all of the ultra-based navigation tutorials and some of the other things that come with higher levels of licensing with EesySoft, but it's definitely something that's on our radar as we look to go to ultra-based navigation and ultra-based courses in the future. But just kudos to EesySoft. Your support is great, and we've been really, really happy with the product. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Really, thanks a lot for sharing that, Jeff. And what you were mentioning about the campaigns, if you have access to messaging for Blackboard, you should have access to all of the campaigns. So definitely something worth exploring, and highly recommend to reach your CSM from EesySoft as well, and they can probably help you to look at some of those that might be the most effective for Hood College. Joel, I see you have your hand raised as well. You have something to share.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, my name is Joel. I'm one of the support and training specialists at the University of Houston in downtown. And we also have EesySoft implemented in our Blackboard environment. One of the key features that we use, and that's pretty critical that we loved about the whole tool, is the analytics. We're able to render out reports and usage rates and filter it out, so we can have documentation for decision making for our higher up offices. And so we are able to provide that type of reporting, which is something we didn't have before. That was on that level where EesySoft can really dive into your platform, into Blackboard, into the CMS, and do things that we really use for our decision making. And one tool that I am trying to use, and I posted the question in the feed. I would like to see if through some kind of customization, are we able to use the messaging within Blackboard and have those users that are redirected to, let's say, an outside website, to our university website, in terms of when students are trying to access courses, or let's say we want them to, are they missing courses, redirect them to a page in our university website that would have them check their status, and then on those pages on our university website still have an EesySoft message indicating this is where you would go, and then this is where you would click. So I know that might be a little bit outside of the capabilities, but is that a feature that may be happening soon, or is there a way we can customize that?
Definitely a conversation worth having. I would bring it up with your EesySoft CSM and see what possibilities there are. From the base integration, EesySoft only functions inside of the Blackboard environment. But from the reporting perspective, we do have something new coming out next month that I think you might be very interested in, is the permissions. So the ability to provide EesySoft access to, for example, dean of a specific department, where they can log in and they will only see the data from that specific department that they are the dean of. So also allowing you to disseminate that data and information across to different departments inside of the institution, rather than just having it centralized at that administrator level. But yeah, thank you for sharing your experience. So any last questions before we hand it back over to Sarah to close us up? Perfect, no worries. Well, if you do think of any questions afterwards, I think I saw my email was put in the chat. Feel free to reach out with any questions you might have, or additional resources you'd be interested in. Happy to provide or have any further conversations. Then I think it's over to you, Sarah.
Yes, thank you so much, Cole, for all this wonderful information and going really in depth into sharing what EesySoft can do. And we really appreciate those of you who are able to share some real use case stories as well, and sharing those testimonials. It's really helpful to hear, and great feedback overall as well. So we do have a slide up here just for some additional information. If you're looking to just kind of browse around, there's the EesySoft website. You can request a personalized demo if you'd like to do a further deep dive into what EesySoft can do for your institution. And then if you're interested in having further conversations, wanting to move forward with an EesySoft purchase, feel free to contact your Blackboard account representative, or you can email blackboard@eesysoft.com. And I do have just a parting poll, if you will, for those, just to kind of get a sense of, who might be interested in kind of moving forward with things. If you could let us know, and I'll hide the responses so it's anonymous, but interested in exploring EesySoft further for your institution, yes or no, and we'll be sure to follow up with those of you who said yes. So appreciate all of your participation and time and attention today. Again, we'll be sending out the recording about 24 hours after the close of this session, so be on the lookout for that. and it'll also include some additional resources for you to browse around a little bit more. All right. Well, with that, we're just at time here, so I will wrap up the poll. And thank you again for joining. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. And thank you, Cole, again for presenting today. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, I
Take care,
appreciate
everyone.
everybody else's time joining as well. Thanks.